All right, welcome to another episode of NFL Outdated Cover 2 series. This episode is on the Tennessee Titans, and I am joined by the 2021 Titans Fan of the Year, Stephani. How's it going?
Hey, it's going good. It's going good. Just kind of bring myself back down to earth after this crazy football weekend we've had.
Oh yeah, you gotta love NFL and when everything's close. Obviously you wish the Titans could be there, but it's been an exciting season. We can get to that later. But first of all, obviously want to congratulate you on the 2021 Titan Fan of the Year, and just hear a little bit about your story and how you became the Fan of the Year.
Well, last year, I've been following the Titans for quite some time, probably over a decade, if not a little
Mhm.
bit longer. 2 decades almost, to be honest. So for a long time, and my fandom just it runs blue. Like if you cut me an eye, I bleed blue 24/7. I mean, the hair enough kind of gives everything away. But last year, or actually 2 years, well. You have to go back to 2020.
Mhm.
In August was when I created a group chat. It was through the height of the pandemic. I didn't really feel like there was a space where women could go to talk about their fandom for the Titans. And make it feel like it's a safe space.
Mhm.
The football industry is male dominated, and then you get on like a platform like Twitter, and it's just it's even more male dominated, and I just felt like there wasn't a space for them to go and kind of just be who they are and be able to celebrate their fandom. So I created a group chat back in August, like I said, 2020. I did not expect for it to take off like it did. I'm thankful it did because I've met some incredible ladies, some incredible women, getting to celebrate them. And we actually, I came up with a hashtag called I Stand with the Titans. We were in the group. Everybody kind of collectively came together and we pushed that out. Now we wanted people to kind of uh, post photos and things like that, and like just let the Titans know that we were there for them.
Mhm.
So when we did that, it got picked up by the Titans. It actually got picked up, and they put it in their hype video for the week for the game, and it was
Mhm.
just incredible that they saw us and they picked that up. And so that kind of took off, and then the group took off, and then fast forward to I found out last
Mhm.
October, at the end of October, I was surprised in a Zoom call. I thought it was just about the Kansas City Chiefs game that they were doing a women's day for. They were celebrating women in football that day. So I thought
Mhm.
they were just talking about that. And then all of a sudden I came in and everybody was there. Lance pops in and he surprises me with the Fan of the Year award.
Wow, that's cool. And I just want to make sure I have it right. I have it down on the screen. I stand with the Titans.
Yes, it's hashtag I stand with the Titans. Yeah, that's what it
Okay,
started with. A couple years ago.
perfect. That's awesome. I mean, when you think of like, Twitter, I mean, we talked about offline, how it can be a negative place, and, everyone has, their opinions about different things. But I think it is important, when everyone, has a voice, and, celebrating the good things of the NFL and good things of your team. I mean, that's important.
It's very important. I feel like when some there's obviously there's the football aspect of our group, but the connections and the friendships that have been made just kind of like we're there for the good times, the bad times. There was women in there that are nurses, doctors, teachers, yeah, moms, aunts, all walks of life are in this chat, or at least on the and also on the Twitter page. Because 2 months later, I created the Ladies of Titans Twitter. It's at Ladies of TT on Twitter. If
Mhm.
if you want to follow, we celebrate women and we celebrate just anything Titans. And so. Just to feel like they have a place to go to kind of just be who they are and celebrate their fandom is what I wanted. This it's just it's gone beyond my wildest dreams. I say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about this group, it's fantastic, and I'm sure everyone has kind of their story of how they became a Titans fan. You said you've been a Titans fan for quite a while, so how did you become a Titans fan?
I actually it was the I want to say, let me just preface this by saying I love football in its
Hmm.
entirety. So I actually started out as a Steelers fan.
Okay.
Um, I love Jerome Bettis. I
Oh
fell
yeah,
in
the
love
bust.
with Jerome Bettis.
Hmm.
He really shed light on the halfback, fullback position, and I think that's
Hmm.
one of the more underutilized and underappreciated positions in the league.
Hmm.
And so I followed him, and then when he retired, I always watched the Titans, but I never like focused in until after he retired.
Hmm.
That was right around the time where we had that stout defense where it was Albert Haynesworth, Keith Bullock. Basically, you just did not want to play that defense
Hmm.
whatsoever. Vanden Bosch, all those incredible guys, and so started watching it right around then, and then it was also right around that time that Jarrell Casey had came into the league. He was drafted, and I'd followed him ever since. I don't know what it is, but I'm a more of a defensive girl. Like I'm just um a defensive type fan. I like the in the trenches, that old school, like pound them both. I don't mind if the score is 10-10 because they
Hmm.
both were beating each other up the
Yeah.
entire time. So I became a Titans fan, focusing on the defense, and then ever since then, I've just shared the love. I've been through the carousel, the quarterback carousel between Jake Locker, Kerry Collins, Charlie Winehurst, or aka Clipboard Jesus, Vince Young. So the 2 and 14 days, the 3 and 13 days, Marcus Mariota, but
Hmm.
all of it.
Yeah, and when you, I mean, obviously you talk about defense. I mean, this had to be, a heck of a year. I mean, obviously a lot of the focus was on Derrick Henry, but I mean, even looking at in the playoffs, that defense is just amazing. And so talk about this year and maybe your review and how that ending was for you.
But this year in general was just a strange year. I feel like for football in general, like there's
Hmm.
just teams that won games should have not won games, and teams that lost games shouldn't have lost them. It was very weird. Um, I feel like everybody was kind of on an even playing field when it was all said and done. Um, for me this year, our defense really stepped up, coming from like the almost we were 32nd on third down conversions. We couldn't stop them. People were going for fourth downs like it was candy because they knew we couldn't touch them. I mean, Matt Stafford played the year before with broken ribs because I think he figured he wasn't going to be touched. We didn't have a pass rush. And now to go to
Hmm.
this year where we have multiple, I think at least three defensive players with 8+ sacks. Like we tripled our sack total in its entirety. I mean, you're coming off of a game where I know our offense didn't perform the way that they should have, but our defense had 9 sacks in one game. Like I know it was a tough loss, but there's so many positives to take from this into the next year. And our defense alone, like that I was sad for the loss, but I was even more sad because our defense was a championship worthy defense. Like, I feel like you defense does win championships, and that defense could have won us a championship. And so to take that into next year, hopefully that just keeps continuing to flow. Not going to say that Jim Schwartz may or may not have an influence this year by being kind of in the background behind Shane Bowen. So cross my fingers that it all kind of stays the same. They bring back Landry. Kevin Byard said the other day that he would take a pay cut if that means to bring back Landry, and like just to see us generate a pass rush with four. I mean,
Hmm.
it was incredible. Danico Autry to me was the most underrated signing of the year because this guy came in and he balled out.
Hmm.
Thank goodness the Colts didn't resign him, so I'm okay with that. And then Bud Dupree's lived up to to what we signed him. He generates. He might not get back there every single time, but he's in there creating pressure. And then what can we say about Pro Bowl snub Jeffrey Simmons? Like this man is playing with the biggest chip on his shoulder. And I just feel like that's going to propel him. Like I don't think you could have had a better year, but behind Aaron Donald, but Aaron Donald is Aaron Donald,
Oh
than
yeah.
Jeffrey Simmons. Like I could tell during that Bengals game that he was playing angry. He was PO'd. He was
Hmm.
very upset. And he was living in their backfield. So, like I said, a lot of promise for the defense. Hopefully, we can get some things worked out on the offense. Um, I'm really not too worried. It's weird to be in a position where you're used to missing the playoffs or always being in the wild card to now winning the division back to back, which is incredible in its own. Being a one seed without Derrick Henry, showing the nation that we could get that one seed and be where we are without our star player. I just think there's so much momentum going into next year, and I think the guys are going to play with an even bigger chip on their shoulder because they don't want to continue to be a one and done. Nobody wants to continue to be a one and done in the playoffs, but for us to go from like being the Colts like little baby brother in the division to now kind of like owning it. It's leaps and bounds from where we come from, and I always take that outlook when it comes to our team.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the injuries. I mean, even with AJ Brown being hurt and Julio, so there's so much potential there. You talk about kind of maybe defensive players playing angry. What about? I mean, as far as like Titans, like Twitter, what's the sense of like? Is it the quarterback's fault? Is it Tannehill's kind of fault? I mean, going forward, is that going to be what holds him back? From kind of taking the next step. I mean, because you look at these teams with Joe Burrow,
Oh, for
now and Mahomes. And Josh Allen. I mean, that AFC is just stacked with quarterbacks. I mean, is Tannehill going to be the one that holds him back, or what's the kind of tenor of the Titans
I
Twitter?
just I feel like from the perception of Titans Twitter, they want Tannehill gone, and that's
Right.
just plain and simple. For me, he's had a couple of years to show what he can do. Cap wise, contract wise, there's no way. There's no way of getting him to another team because nobody's going to pick up that contract. There's not a way to trade because of the dead cap hit that you can't cut him. For me personally, I think it's just Tannehill's going to have to get out of his own head.
Yeah.
Um, I'm hoping that this year and what happened in the playoffs get in his head and he uses it for motivation. Personally, I love Tannehill. The guy's got wheels. He just makes some silly mistakes, like especially when you look at the games where he doesn't, like the Texans game where he didn't have a single turnover versus in this game. Like when the first play of the game, Jesse Bates sniffs him out because he's dead set on looking at one receiver, and Jesse jumps the route and intercepts the ball. That kind of set the tone for the game, unfortunately. And it was just something that I feel like they couldn't. It was hard for them to work back out of. Um, Also, I feel like Tannehill's going to get that brunt force of the blame because he's the quarterback. And at the end
Mhm.
of the day, as a quarterback, you have to take that responsibility. At the same time, there's guys that he hasn't been playing with his whole offensive weaponry, but a couple of games of out of the year. I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but I feel like that has something to do with it. That continuity, the injuries, the playing with 91 different players. Most of them on the offense. Like that's a lot. That's a lot for a quarterback to handle and overcome. Granted, he's a veteran. He shows veteran qualities like that pass to AJ Brown in the
Mhm.
end zone. And
That was
AJ, that
perfect.
one hand, that was a dime. That was an
Yeah.
absolute beauty of a pass. And it takes that relationship for them to be able to, that connection for it to be able to happen. Um, I just hopefully what I'm hoping is that Tannehill can take that step forward next year, and then we can. This quarterback draft class is not the best. It's
Right.
it's next to, you might find a needle in a haystack, but you're probably not gonna find it. So what my thing is they're obviously they're going to keep Tannehill throughout his contract. I don't think there's a way out in 2023, but they're going to have to draft a QB as far as I see, and then let the QB develop because we have a bad history of just like with Marcus, just taking a quarterback and throwing him out there where our
Right.
system is built for somebody to be able to take their time to study the system to be able to grow. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with Logan Woodside because he's been in the backfield. He's been a backup quarterback for almost 3 seasons now. So
Okay.
I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't know if they're going to maybe like look at him for a little bit because they usually kind of pull guys up from within their ranks before they start going to the outside, looking in. So who knows? But my hope is that Tannehill can kind of take this fuel and motivate him for the next season, uh, because it is hard. It is very hard to get the accomplishments. Like I said, there's pros and cons for him. Um, I will always support whoever my quarterback is, no matter if it's Ryan Tannehill, no matter who it is, Logan, whoever's there. Um, so I just in my head, it's one of those things where it's just like it is what it is. You just have to accept it, because there's not a way to get out of it. But I want to still encourage Ryan Tannehill and just let him know that he's still our QB1. I mean, at the end
Right.
of the day, this man got us to the number one seed. People want to obviously you want to say the defense, really helped and bailed us out of a lot of games, but Tannehill is that guy that got us. We were there. We're there because of him. We're there to back division win because of him. And I'm like, people seem to kind of once that bad game happened, everybody forgot all the good, and I hate that because
It,
there was a lot of good from this season from him.
Absolutely. And you hear that a lot, especially from the quarterback position. Usually the most popular person on a team is, the backup quarterback, because they're not in there. Have you heard any, hope that, like I don't know, an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell Wilson would end up with Tennessee, or is that, have any steam at all?
From a fan perspective, it has a lot of steam. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that would love either Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson to come to Tennessee. My thing is, I think from it, like you said, from a financial standpoint, like what are those guys going to take? Like, what are those guys going to want to get paid to come to a sm- a team? And also, we're a smaller market. Like, I
Mm.
don't know because of the publicity and things, like you're going from a team like Green Bay to Tennessee or the Seahawks to Tennessee, and I have to think of it from both sides. Like, would the quarterback actually want to come to a small market team? And then also financially, what they would want to be paid, what their contracts are going to look like, and how you can get around Ryan Tannehill's contract. Like I said, luckily we do kind of have J Rob, and he's been known to kind of like Miami basically paid us to take Ryan Tannehill. They paid his contract out so we would take him. So I wouldn't be surprised if J Rob could figure out something to do, but I honestly see them giving Tannehill another year, and then figuring out something in 2023 to keep from that dead cap hit being so hard.
Yeah, when you look at it, I mean, throughout the year, like, as a national perspective, we didn't hear much about Ryan Tannehill, and that I know I had gone on a pod before and talked about how that was maybe a good thing, because you're not hearing the negatives, as much, obviously it's probably different within Titans Twitter, but as long as you're not hearing the negatives, that he's losing you games, and when you look at it, they didn't have a healthy Julio, a healthy AJ for a great part of the season, and then Derrick Henry since week 8, and still with that number 1 seed. That really is a huge accomplishment, and I'm sure it really is a testament to what Mike Vrabel is
Oh,
building there.
for sure. Mike Vrabel is one heck of a coach. I got the chance to meet him when I was a 12th Titan for the Dolphins game. So I got to go down and put the sword in the field.
Yeah,
And Mike Vrabel came up and shook my hand. He said, "Hello, Stephanie," and he
that's
also
cool.
sent me a congratulatory uh, a message through Twitter when found out that I won the Fan of the Year. He's just an amazing person, and the culture between him and Vrabel and Amy Adams, the culture they've instilled in these guys. I mean, not only to the testament of the 91 players that we played that come in and have been able to play and keep us in a position where we could get the number 1 seed is absolutely incredible. Like Mike. the players play for Mike, and you can definitely tell. We haven't had anything like that since Jeff Fisher,
Mhm.
and it's just like you can tell these guys are fighting day in and day out for this man. And Mike is just like I said, he's an incredible person, inside and out. He loves the sport. So his football IQ is ridiculous. Like this man, it can out. I feel like he can outsmart anybody, especially when it comes like to the rules and things like that. I mean, I feel like he studies the rule book weekly as it changes in the league. But yeah, Mike Vrabel is hands down my favorite coach, and personally my coach of the year. Obviously, those things I don't know how they change once you kind of lose out in the divisional round, but
Right, right,
personally, Mike Vrabel should be coach of the year. I mean, and also he's going to be coaching for the Pro Bowl. Found that
right.
out yesterday, so that was going to be fun to watch.
Well, yeah, and so you talk about when you had a chance to go and put the sword in the field. Is that kind of your most memorable game that you've been to?
It definitely was, and surprisingly, it is for the part of putting the sword in the field. But I'm gonna be honest, you get down on the field, and it was at that moment that I realized like I was stepping on the field where I've watched all my favorite Titans players play. My feet were right there where they were standing. Like meeting Coach Vrabel, meeting. I got a picture with Kevin Byard. That
That's
was that
awesome.
was nuts.
Wow.
And like, but to be able to share that moment with my son, like we both went out to the field, and then I kind of blacked out because the moment was so big that it just kind of went like this. And then I finally watched it from a couple people who sent me the videos after the game. And like I stabbed the sword in the field, but my son was right there just cheering me on. And I I literally do everything for him. Everything that I do is for my son. And just to be able to share that moment and pick him up and spin him around and him be there with me, I will
That's
never
amazing.
forget that game. Also because of the fact at the end of the game, we got to simultaneously watch the Colts lose the Colts lose to the Raiders that game, and also the Bengals beating the Chiefs to help us maintain the 1 seed. So that was a fun game to be at that day.
Absolutely. And, you've had a lot of amazing experiences, this year as well. And talk about, I mean, that Zoom with Roger Goodell, talk about that experience as well.
It was crazy. Like literally we sat in there. Peter Schrager's was the host. Peter Schrager's is awesome, by the
Mhm.
way. And so we get into our Zoom calls with the other fan of the years, and then Roger Goodell's just sitting right there. He's in his office. In the background, you could see the Lombardi trophy just
Wow.
hanging out back there in the
Yeah,
background. And he's like, "Yeah, there's the trophy." And I'm like, okay. And then like he talked about things about the league and his family, how one of his daughters is a Vikings fan and the other one is just kind of all around football fan, how he grew up in the sport, how he came to be the commissioner. Really cool dude. Even told us like, hey, if you see me at the Super Bowl, just come up and say hi, take a picture. And I'm like, not Roger Goodell telling me I could just go say, hello, what's up, Roger? And, you know,
right.
call it a day. It
That's
was
amazing.
insane.
Yeah.
It literally was just sitting in his office, just talking to us, just as people, just as him being Roger. And you could just see from the whole office in the background, his office is incredible. But it's just, yeah, Roger's a good dude. Roger's a good dude. We got to boo him when he came in. We all just collectively just said boo, like because that's just his normal thing with like
Oh, yeah.
big groups of people. So we're just gonna boo, and then they muted us afterwards. It was hilarious.
That's cool. Yeah. It's always at the draft, and
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. So you talk about kind of the Titans game day experience. I mean, how many games have you been to? And I mean, do you have any tailgates that you go to, or what's your Titans game day experience
I've
like?
been to 3 this year,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken. I've been to my favorite one was obviously the Chiefs game, next to the Dolphins game, but the Chiefs game was where they celebrated women in football, so we had a tailgate there that was thrown by the, organization, for us for that game, and that's when Amy Adams came out, and we got to meet her. She's such a kind person, and so it was fun to meet her and things like that. But I usually go to a couple of tailgates. I try to make my way around now. If I'm by myself, I try to do it if I can. But if I'm not, with like if I'm with my son Nate, we just hit maybe one. There's trying to remember the names. There's a couple of them. But shouts out to all the Titans tailgates because they welcome you in with open arms, no matter who you are. You know, anything like that. They're there to have fun and get down, and then you get into the game, and it's so much different going to a game than it is watching it on TV. And I learned that very quickly after now going to like 3 games. This is the most time I've been to the most home games I've been to in a season. Was these 3 games. And so to go and just the experience is just crazy. The atmosphere, it was loud. Now from the playoff game, that was extremely loud. And I didn't get to go to that one because going to the Super Bowl in just a couple weeks, I'm kind of
Mhm.
mitigating my exposure for a little bit because I don't want to potentially catch COVID before the trip. So I'm just kind of like
Absolutely. Yeah,
picking and choosing what I do.
absolutely.
But the crowd was insane. And I will say this, that we're trying our best to get that home field advantage back because at one point a couple seasons ago, no one wanted to play in Nissan because it was so loud. But you know, the Chiefs, every game that I've been to, it's just you get there. I love the fact of the camaraderie. Like at the Chiefs game, we were sitting in front of 2 Chiefs players, not players, but fans, and they were very nice. They were very nice to me and my son the whole entire time. They gave him high fives, things like that. You know, the the football experience between fans is just so fun. And then like the 12 Titan game, um, you walk up from the field and people are high fiving you, people are clapping, people are, like, and then my son's like, "Yay, go bomb!" and things like that. It's just the game day experience is so much fun, very welcoming for everybody, family, kids, you know, older people. It's just a welcoming environment.
I would agree. So like I took my kids 10 and 12 to their first NFL game, and I'm actually a Bears fan,
Mhm,
but I took them to sorry, the Vikings Bears game here a few weeks ago, and we were sitting next to some Bear fans, but a lot of Vikings fans, and obviously it was a weird kind of thing with we knew both teams were out of the playoffs and everything, but there was still a camaraderie, and it
mhm.
was good natured in all of that, and it was, I mean, kids loved it. It was definitely a great experience. I love watching football on TV, but I would agree it is different in person.
It is. It definitely is. I mean, obviously, you can watch it at home and not drink, $12 beers,
Right. Exactly.
things like
Exactly.
that. You could do just about anything you want at home, but going there and just like the drive in to where you get to the stadium and you just, it just takes on a whole new experience once you're walking in and just hearing the announcers or seeing the guys warm up and things like that. So, and then being down on the field was just
uh,
even crazier because you're on the sideline. And then they had me where the Titans players were all being introduced. They break on the logo and then they run in. So I was watching like David Long, Jeff
wow.
Swaim, Ryan Tannehill was just standing right over here a couple feet away. He is a much taller dude. And then like he's like 6'2", 6'3". So he's just standing over here. And then you have Jeffrey Simmons right over here next to me. But then I was standing for the national anthem. It was me, um, Coach Vrabel, and Kevin Byard. He's like, "Yeah, you can hang. I want you to hang out here during the national anthem." And I'm just sitting here like just looking around.
Wow.
It's just like this, and you could just see everybody on the background. Like all the players were just sitting right behind me. That was insane. No, that was like my super. I'm not gonna lie, that was like my Super Bowl.
Well, absolutely. I mean, be able to, see your, team's players and all that. I mean, that's got to be an amazing experience. But talking about taking to the next level. I mean, what are you looking forward to most about the NFL honors and the Super Bowl? Just being a part of that.
The NFL honors, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna try to keep myself in a calm, cool composure because, like I said, I'm a Titans fan first, but I'm a football fan
Hmm.
24/7. I love watching other teams play, so I keep up with football very regularly around the league. So just to kind of be in the room with some of those bigger name individuals, you just never know you're going to see. So I'm going to try my best to keep my composure and not be one of those crazy fans that the phone's just but I will
Oh,
say I
yeah,
bought a portable charger just in case I need it.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then the Super Bowl is it's definitely crazy. I just got my Super Bowl tickets last night.
Wow.
And so to open my phone and it says that your Super Bowl tickets are ready to manage, like my brain just went poof, because it's not something everybody gets to experience. Like, even though my team may not be in it, I'm just hyped to go to that game,
No
to be in
doubt.
that environment, to walk up and say I went to a Super Bowl. And then the halftime show. I mean, the people that they're playing for halftime this year, oh, chef's kiss. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just definitely going to be insane. My first time on a plane. It's going to be my first time out west, so it's definitely going to be a bunch of new experiences for me coming up.
Oh, absolutely. I can't imagine just I mean, you've already had the experience of your team, but just kind of have, be able to look around everybody that's going to be there. When you talk about, fan of the year, obviously, I'm not sure, when the announcement's going to be made about who is the NFL fan of the year. It'll be at NFL honors, right?
Yes, they're actually going to do it that night, I believe, at the NFL honors. Mhm.
And so, I mean, are you pretty excited for that? I mean, what would happen if you were the one?
I am I am nervous, but it's just one of those things where I've had the chance to get to know some of the other fans of the year, and I couldn't be more happy for anybody that wins it. I will be their biggest cheerleader, cheering them on as they walk across the stage and receive that honors. Now, if it was me, it's going to be definitely mind-boggling because Brandon Galloway, he won it last year for the Titans. He's actually the
Oh,
first
yeah.
NFL fan of the year. Um, and he's a Titans fan, and so it's definitely one of those things where crossing my fingers, like repeat, I would be ecstatic, but I'm still going to be just as ecstatic if any of my other 31 uh friends win that award too, because it's a big award to win. But there's a lot of lovely people who were chosen from each individual team this year, so I'm very excited to see who gets that, because last year the honors wasn't in person, so this year you kind of get to celebrate it with everybody that's there. So I think it's going to be very cool.
Absolutely. When you talk about kind of that group of, the fan of the year, like, do you kind of feel like you have kind of a community there now that you've gained?
Yes, there's ways we keep in touch throughout the year, like through Facebook or Messenger or Twitter. Everybody's been very welcoming, been very friendly. They started it last year with the first group of the fans of the years, so they continue. They bring us in. They'll bring in the new fan of the year into the Facebook group, so we can kind of touch base. Been very informative. Like, if people get information, they share it with others, and then just to kind of build the personal, like, one-on-one relationships. There are just some incredible, I'm going to say just incredible people who have uh, their organization has chosen to represent them. I mean, just pure hearts inside and out, diehard spirits. Their the love for their team is just insane, and I love it. And what they do for their community, each individual from this year to last year is just the teams really did a great job picking their individual fans of the years this year. It's going to be a tough competition for sure.
Absolutely. And when you look at this, I mean, this is really a fantastic, thing that the NFL has done because, obviously, when you have all these different fans of each team, everyone's excited for their team, but then when you have an award like this, it highlights the best of the fans because I mean, obviously there some crazy fans in some cities that you hear the negatives, but this you hear the positives of what people are doing in the community, and all the good stories, and that's why I definitely appreciate you coming on because I wanted to hear your story, and it really uh, it brings out the best of, football, I believe.
Cause and I appreciate you having me on. I mean,
Yeah.
just to have this year go the way that it went, I'm gonna tell you, like my friend Carrie, one person who's been with me. This is from to get from the beginning. Um, just sitting there talking to her at the Texans game last year, and we were just talking about the group and where we wanted to see it go. What would happen if Amy, kind of. Uh, found out and just enjoy, wanted to kind of help us with the group and things like that. For me to sit there and think of that moment to now is absolutely, it's humbling. I'm gonna say, like, all of this experiences, all of everything, everybody that I've gotten to meet, all my friends that are in the lot group, um, everybody, the supporters. I mean, fans have embraced us wholeheartedly, and I absolutely adore every single person that supports this group, because without the supporters and the women in the group, I would not be where I am today. So I owe them everything. Stabbing the sword on the field was for them just as much as it was for me. Going to represent the Titans in the Super Bowl is for them as well as it is for me. Fun fact: there is over, I want to say, 75% female fans of the years, which is very
Wow.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yes, I think there's out of the 32 teams, I'm gonna honestly say I think 20 of them are female, which is absolutely crazy. Like, it just is so awesome to see the league embrace
Hmm.
females and what they do to bring positivity to the community. But just to kind of see how things have played out, it's awesome. I'm excited, and I'm pumped, and I'm very honored that the Titans, um, you follow your team for so long, you're a passionate fan, but just to kind of see that they're like, we see you, we saw what you're doing, we see the positive light. It just makes me want to be even more positive and see what else we can do with this group going forward, because I feel like it's something bigger than myself. Um, I think the craziest part is when I get messages or tags of individuals who have daughters,
Oh yeah.
or just give birth to baby girls, and they're like, "I hope she's a future member." Um, those really get to me, because I didn't realize, like, maybe this is something that is creating something long term or has some longevity to it. Um, a friend of mine told me, sometimes you don't know when you're creating history because you're not
Mhm.
thinking about creating it in the first place. And that's definitely something that I'm kind of seeing form before my eyes, um, as the time passed.
Absolutely. That's a really cool legacy. And really you created it by doing something you love and just kind of like connecting with others. And that's what it's really about. I think, when you build a community, whether it's within your own fans, or just with people with football, I think, that can last. And, and just you really see just the benefits of getting to know people all around the country.
Sure, for sure.
And when you talk about one other thing I wanted to kind of touch on as well is you talked about some of your favorite players now.
Mm.
Do you have some like favorite other like older Titans
Oh
players
yeah.
over the years? Yeah.
Like I said, started with Albert Haynesworth.
Hmm.
Huge Albert Haynesworth fan. He was just a menace on that defensive line. I kind
Hmm.
of go for like defensive linemen, interior. So it kind of just formed from Albert Haynesworth to um, Jarrell Casey. I actually met him a couple of years ago at the Titans kickoff party. Met him and Logan Ryan during that game, and it was just some of the nicest people. First time I ever met an athlete, professional athlete. So I was just kind of beside myself. And then, like, offensively, offensively, huge fan. Let's see, I'm just gonna go like Chris Johnson,
Oh
Lindell
yeah.
White.
Oh yeah.
The both of those, ground and pound, they started
Yeah.
that two. To me, they started that kind of running back by committee, but you had two problems. One was force and one was speed. So it was definitely a lot of fun to watch them growing up. Far as quarterbacks, you have Steve McNair, which is one of my
Hmm.
favorite to this day. Um, Marcus, Marcus Mariota, and that's just because he was a silent leader. Like,
Yeah.
um you could definitely tell the guys absolutely loved him. He was a fan favorite. Um Regardless of the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, Marcus is still somebody that I root for, even though he's a Raiders player now. I just want to see him succeed and do the best. And so definitely Marcus. And then you have um, just like Michael Roos from the offensive line,
Mm,
Michael Roos, Dennis Kelly, just because just because he did so many different things on the line, like he really helped out this team. Wish him the best in Green Bay. But yeah, just it's just kind of a little bit all over where Keith Bullock,
oh yeah,
and Cortland Finnegan with his Cortland Finnegan was just a scrappy guy, and I loved it because we didn't really have that at the time.
right.
Even though he was getting into fights with Andre Johnson, he didn't care. He wasn't going to back down. So definitely really appreciate
Yeah,
his.
there's so many Titans players, obviously that you named that maybe I wasn't even aware of. Obviously it's a fun year to has been a fun year to be a Titan, and even like Eddie George,
Mhm.
with considered going in the Hall of Fame, and
Well,
so there's really a great history there.
going into has been announced to the Titans Pro Hall of Fame, and I actually have a signed jersey from him. I got that in I won that in a contest maybe a couple weeks ago. So Javon Curses is absolutely doing great things for the community now too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, kind of going forward, obviously, a lot of exciting, times for you in the next few weeks, and I definitely wish you all the luck. And
You.
so once again, where can everyone find you?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter. That's where I'm predominantly at. It's at Stephanie P96. Also follow the Ladies of Titans Twitter page. It's the at Ladies of TT on Twitter, and then also Facebook. There is a Facebook group for those who don't have Twitter, and that's just search up Ladies of Titans Football on Facebook, and you'll find our group there too.
Perfect. You said ladies of TT then.
Yes, at Ladies of TT. Yep, for our
Okay.
Twitter for that one.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, yeah, I definitely appreciate your time, and it's going to be an exciting few weeks. Even though the Titans aren't in the Super Bowl, a lot to look forward to next year. So thanks again.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate that. And I hope you have a great day.
Me too. And once
Thank
again, it's
you.
been an NFL Outdated Cover 2 series with the Tennessee Titans Fan of the Year. Thanks again.
Thank you.